So, how important is the time of day for application of extracts, teas, and watering plants?
But we thought that, it'd be very important to have to keep track of when you were applying. So we did an experiment where we went to a pivot that was, I think it was 135 acres in size. And so we started very early in the morning applying a compost tea to the potato plants that were in the system. So at 4 a.m. we started and just let it chug along. We figured that when it hit high noon, that we weren't going to have very many organisms left
Hmm.
because UV is supposed to kill these organisms. And so, okay, we're going to find out whether that's true or not. And so the the arm went on going on along. Let's see, I think it was dark at like 8:30 in the evening. So we knew when the sun um, went down, we expected to see an increase in the biology being applied there. And so went on through the night and finally hit the next morning. We finished up at about noontime come the next day. And we went out then and took samples throughout all of that area,
Hmm.
knowing that how much sunlight was being hit, that was hitting those organisms in that soil. And what we discovered was it made no difference.
Wow. Wow.
Interesting.
So that was one full pivot. It took 18 hours to get all the way around, and you sampled like an hour all the way around until you got back, whether it was at night or in the middle of the day, and it didn't matter.
Yep, and it was a slower pivot. It's 135, so a little bit slower. And so it was out there for 18 hours, I think it was. So it included the next morning, and we were really surprised at
That's
those
Mhm.
results. Um, so a lot of it is that we were putting the application on pivot that already had plants fully grown in it. And
gotcha.
so as this is going on to those leaf surfaces, they experienced a lot of shade,
Gotcha.
preventing the damage that we expected. Now, if that had been bare soil, I'd expect something very different. But we've never gone back and done that work. What if all of your water is immediately absorbed, infiltrated into your soil? Then I wouldn't expect. So it's only when you've got compacted layers and the water cannot infiltrate, that's the only time UV is going to cause you harm.
Hmm.
Thank you. That's beautiful information. Beautiful information.
Yep.
Definitely gold bars on that one. Definitely. So, I don't do compost. Is the worm farm good enough?
And I'd say it depends. Um, what are you putting into your worm bin? Are you reaching the um, the concentration of the bacteria and fungi and protozoa and nematodes? And there are cases where absolutely you're getting really good compost out of a worm bin. It's probably a little bit harder, but to get a really good food web going in a worm bin, but if you achieve it, it's probably better than a thermal compost. So it also depends on what you're trying to grow. And,
Mhm.
so it's a long list of possibilities. Check it out. Make a thermopile and make a worm bin and see which one you like to do work on. Some people really like the idea that you're going to put this plant material together and in 15 days it's going to be finished. And you don't have to fuss with it until, you know, a year from now when you have need for more compost. Worm
Mhm.
bin, you've got to be there to put in the food in that worm bin, and make certain that every 3 days you put another increment in there, because you don't want any fruit flies, fungus gnats, or other disgusting little creatures running around in what you're going to put on your soil and
Mhm.
try to prevent diseases and pests and, all of that. So up to the grower, really. Just make sure that you have the proof that you've got the bacteria and fungi, protozoa and nematodes up to their minimum requirement levels. Maybe you want that you're trying to grow pumpkins, so you've got to get that fungal to bacterial biomass ratio up a little bit higher. You need the fungus just, right in that 1-to-1 ratio is what you
Mhm.
really want to look at. So it depends on the crop, depends perhaps a little bit on a number of different things that you'll very rapidly find out about if you don't have them.
Well, and that's the importance of doing side by sides and testing what you've got against what you're trying to create. But it kind of leads into the next question.